everybody, and welcome to another edition of Magic Mics. I am Evan Irwin, and we get started as we do each and every week by saying hello to my two co-hosts, Erin Campbell,
Ishmuelah,
and Ruben Bressler.
Hello. What's that one? Is that Kaladesh?
That is a night elf druid greeting from World of Warcraft.
Oh, now you're just making stuff
very
up.
Close.
No, I've been playing a lot of WoW lately. That's been my life for the last 2 days.
Come on, because they had a new expansion, and you got to go
the last 2
grind
days,
it.
And the 6 years previous.
Of course, just a
8,
few.
but who's counting?
8,
wow. So, before we get into the big, crazy, super announcements, we kind of have some preambles that we wanted to talk about really quickly. And it's not even a word from our sponsors. It's really stuff that you might actually care about. September 4th, we are going to have a hangout for our patrons who are at the $20+ level. And we have a goal for that hangout. And the goal is that at the end of that hangout, thanks to the contributions of all the patrons, we will find the art description for our tokens, because that hasn't been written yet. Strangely, we're going to get the water bottles at the end of this week or first next week, but we don't have the tokens, which was the previous reward. Weird.
Right.
So we're going to fix that. That's what we're doing. We're fixing that right now. Which kind of goes into water bottles are going to be sent for free to all $20+ patrons when I get the water bottles. You still have the opportunity to up your pledge to $20 a month or higher, and I will send you a water bottle when I run that report as soon as they show up. They're super sweet. I'm going to bring them up on the screen now, because who doesn't need their liquid hydration fully branded with logos? I want you to hold it the right way when you drink it, make sure everybody gets that, that good, the best part awake, and and
you get to put us up to your dry lips. That didn't really come.
Just wow. If you're
I was going with a desert theme.
If you're parched, if you will.
Yes.
All right. So anyway, and really quickly, 2 last things here. One, I will be going to Essen Spiel, so I'm going to Germany. Woo woo! In October, it's going to be fun. But that means the October 12th show will not be a show. So that makes me sad.
I get to go to Legacy Night.
She gets to go to Legacy Night. Speaking of battling in a competitive arena, Erin Campbell, oh my God, ladies and gentlemen, is official professional Magic the Gathering player with a professional point.
With the points proven.
The point is proven. So, Erin, tell us about your experience at the Grand Prix and about how you kind of came into your own, about how those petals kind of opened and you were like, oh, and it was a moment.
Man, I think some people would say I should probably start closing my petals, but so I took ad nauseum to the Modern GP, which people were surprised by. I think a lot of people expected me to play Dredge, and I kind of, Dredge had started seeing a lot of play thanks to Ross Merriam and Tom Ross, and that kind of put a target on its back, and so that kind of scared me off from wanting to play it. Also, Bant Eldrazi had become the hotness overnight, and the Bant Eldrazi matchup for ad nauseum is quite good. Yeah. I faced Bant Eldrazi 5 times in 2 days, and I beat them 4 times. Wow. So I felt very good about the matchup, and I finished day 1 7-2 with 1 bye, and came back the next day, played another 6 rounds, and I finished 10-5, which was good for 157 out of 1,900 people, and good enough to get me my first ever pro point, which was on my birthday. So I got to play day 2 on my birthday and get my first ever pro point, which was an amazing birthday present. So yay!
Yay! All right, so it appears that we have some technical difficulties.
Evan, please.
And please, Evan, please.
As soon as I asked in chat, I was like, "Can you guys see us?" And it's just mono nopes.
Oh.
In chat, just everybody.
Right. So we should be back online now, officially.
Can they see us?
I see a hi, everyone.
I see a hi, everyone.
And they're like, hey.
Hey, guys.
The hey.
All right, so we're back. All right, so
fantastic.
Now they can see us. So are we Groundhog Daying the first 3 minutes?
I don't think so.
I think they heard us.
We have it recorded.
Okay.
And either way, all that stuff was a bunch of stuff that if they skipped it, it's not the end of the world. A lot of it's just kind of Magic Mike stuff. Erin did get to go to the GP. She did earn a pro point. That's fantastic. Well done. You crushed.
Thank you.
Right.
Crushed.
Let me
Crushed.
let me do a 15-second recap of the first 3 minutes. September 4th hangout, we're going to try to get our tokens discussed. So if you come to the hangout, you're going to help us talk about the tokens. to that end, water bottles, whenever we get them, we'll send them out to all $20 patrons. I should be getting them sometime soon. Evan is going to Essen in Germany the week of October 12th, so there won't be a show that week. Erin got a pro point.
Bam.
Well done.
Bam. Now, ladies and gentlemen, it is one of the most exciting times to be a Magic player. Every 6 months, Papa Rosewater comes down, comes down the Planeswalker Tower in Jace's mind and plops out the next, 6+ months of products. So Wizards announced a whole bunch of stuff. So let's talk about them in chronological order, okay? So next year in March 17th, 2017, we're going to have a new Modern Master set. We're not having a Modern Master set in summer. We're not going to be going to Vegas in March. They're not going to have a Modern Masters Grand Prix this time. Honestly, I could imagine, and I can even see that the I don't know, man. I almost want to say like the chaos of those Modern Masters Grand Prix was too much, but they're doing a triple Grand Prix in Vegas, so they're like trading one insanity for another, one madness for another case of it. So that's cool. Modern Masters 2017, which is going to have Innistrad and Return to Ravnica stuff. So, here comes your Mythic Snapcasters and your Mythic Lilianas and so on and so forth. We'll see if they put fetches in it, yada, yada, yada. We'll see if Conspiracy 3 or whatever is going to be better than Modern Masters 3. Sort of like it was, 2 was better than 2015. But here we are with another Modern Master set. So, you guys excited?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's great. I'm excited for every Modern Masters, and particularly because this time has Innistrad,
right?
Which for most people's money is the best set printed in recent memory, at least from the modern era. And so we get to have a lot of cool interactions with the flashback mechanic. We might see the return of some of the popular werewolves, so there could be more double face cards. It would be the first time that a Modern Masters set would have double face cards, by the way. Sure. So that would be interesting. You get to have Snapcaster. You get to, we got another bite at the apple at enemy fetch lands, which seems like a pretty decent shoe-in for me, right? I mean,
are they going back to the Tarmogoyf well the third time? That's what I really
sure.
want to know.
Why not?
Are they
going $1 billion?
Are they going back? I mean, it's still exciting every time.
Now,
I hope they get new art for what it's worth.
The problem with going to the Tarmogoyf well again is that that's already a $170 card. Then you've got Liliana, you've got Snapcaster, and if you put lands in there, we're getting. And then if you try to put something like Horizon Canopy, which are $90 a piece now, you try to put literally anything from Future Sight. If you put any of the rares from Future Sight that weren't printed in any of the previous Modern Masters, like any of the Maguses, like Magus of the Moon is $30 now. Like you put anything like that in there, you have to charge $15 a pack. Like you have to just go completely insane.
Well, they just put Show and Tell and Berserk in Conspiracy 2.
That's two. That's two mythics.
Hey, I'm not saying that
they're not printing mythic fetch lands. I don't think that they're going to do it.
I don't think they print mythic fetch lands. But Erin, so tell me about Modern Masters 2017. You excited?
Yeah, there's been a lot of talk recently about the modern format and specifically how a lot of pros don't like it. I think today alone, Mark Nestico had an article and Todd Anderson wrote a piece the other day, and people have really been hating on modern. And I had a blast this weekend at the GP. I thought the GP was really well run. Modern is a format that I'm always trying to get people into. And so, I'm always happy when another Modern Masters set comes out because that means that more people can play the format. People the last time around were able to get their Noble Hierarchs and they were able to get their Karns and I feel like I don't really have any hard evidence to say that Modern's doing quite well right now in terms of attendance. Like people love the format. And I would like to think that part of that is because of the Modern Master sets and how much easier it was for them to get cards. So if this means that more people can play Modern and I can keep having events to go to and crush at, I'm all for it.
Wow. Nice. So we're going to move on to the next large set. Now, the next block coming to Magic the Gathering is Amonkhet. It is the Egyptian block. Finally, the Egyptian mythos is coming to Magic. It's going to be sweet. Oh my God, it's coming out April 18th, 2017. This is a plane that Nicol Bolas rules, that Nicol Bolas controls entirely. And The denizens, now what little they have said is that the denizens are fighting in the trials of the 5 gods. I wonder if there's one for every color. And and they have to, and the tagline is rise amongst the worthy. So whatever that means exactly. But and one of the sickest things that has kind of came out of this announcement, first of all, Egyptian mythos, yes. Ooh, it's going to be great. I can't wait. We need mummies and magic. We've already had pharaohs such as vengeful pharaohs, and one of the sickest plants and one of the most amazing wizards. I don't even know if he did it on purpose, but I'm going to give this one to you, and I'm going to say you did it on purpose. And somebody said, we're going to make Vengeful Pharaoh, and then someone else said, that should be the plane that Nicol Bolas rules. And somebody's like, yeah, that's a great idea. If you look up Vengeful Pharaoh from Magic 2012, M12, which is a set that had to be designed somewhere in the realm of 2011, 2010. No, it came out in 2011, right? So in 2010, they had to seed this card. So 6-7 years ago, they knew that Nicol Bolas was going to be here, and he was going to rule the Egyptian plane. He has the the crown or whatever.
The cane,
he has the cane that has the Bolas on it. He has the crown that has the Bolas with the thing even floating in the middle. And no one, just like one person mentioned it apparently on Gatherer. Like,
well, to be fair, I mean, most people, Vengeful Pharaoh itself, nobody ever notices. Like when I've put it in dredge decks, nobody ever catches the Vengeful Pharaoh. So I'm not surprised that people don't even notice the card when it's in play. I'm not surprised that people didn't notice what was even on the card. There are people who don't even know what the card does. It just has, the card itself just has this glamour about it, this mystique about it. And
most people, as soon as the Reddit thread popped up, immediately went to Gather and was like, I didn't know that was a card.
Yeah.
And to be fair, neither did I. I was pretty lost on that.
Oh, I remember Vengeful Pharaoh. I don't remember exactly how it works, but I remember that it was a card and it did something really cool in the graveyard. Ultimately, well, I expected it to be reprinted. Let's put it that way. It wasn't like amazing. It was a cool little card, and I think it would be fine to come back to the standard environment.
Yeah, it's perfectly reasonable.
It's just super, it's super flavorful, and that's what you want. And again, it's just the sickest plant ever.
And Erin, if there's ever going to be a set that has dredge in it.
There's not going to be a set with dredge in it. We've talked about this.
I will.
Let her have like 6 to 9 months of hope.
I mean, Ali from Cairo was in Arabian Nights. You can easily put Bazaar Baghdad in this set. I mean, come on. Like, if this happens, I will be such a good girl. I promise not to pick on burn players. I promise not to flirt with judges. I will wear underwear to events. I will do whatever I need to do.
Eat vegetables.
Yes, whatever. I will change all of my ways. Just let me have Bazaar Baghdad, please.
Wow.
If it's a delirium, it lets you get delirium. I mean,
I know what Bazaar Baghdad does.
I'm just saying, like,
yeah, we got
such a good girl.
So on May the 20th, 2017, Dual Deck Mind versus Might, the newest things versus stuff, is coming. They say nothing really about this product other than it exists and it's coming, which brings me to a point. Wizards. Wizards. Okay. So it's a little weird that ultimately the announcement day was supposed to replace the sort of the work and the effort involved in kind of rolling out a product's information and having this big announcement thing that kind of happens so many times throughout the year, and you're doing a whole lot more releases, so you're able to do that stuff. But a lot of the stuff that was announced has so little information about it that, I was happy to find the set symbols for Amonkhet, for example, are on the product pages for the products themselves on the Wizards website. So that does exist, which is appreciated, but you kind of have to dig for it. But anyway, the whole point is that it feels like they're not giving very little information, and so this thing that they're solving with here's all of our next 6 months worth of stuff. There's no key art for Hour of Devastation, which I understand that's going to be the next set from Amonkhet. But it's one of those things where it's weird. It's like you're going to have the same thing where you're going to have a release of information. You have to go to this page. You have to update all of it. You're going to have an article that explains, hey, this is all the new stuff that's been added to the product page. So it's just weird that they tried to solve. Feels like they were trying to solve a problem, and they're still kind of doing the thing that they were supposed to solve, which is to roll out information kind of all at once. Like, here's the stuff we're doing. Okay, deal with it. I don't know. It just
Well, it's also kind of distracting given that PAX is this weekend. You know, they're really they're supposed to be really pushing Kaladesh. Like the Inventors Fair is this weekend.
Right.
You know, they're flying in all these community ambassadors to do like live coverage, and it does kind of feel a little bit like sabotage, where it's like, you know, you want us to be talking about Kaladesh, but then you drop a huge bomb like we're going to Egypt or an Egyptian themed plane, that it's going to involve Nicol Bolas, that Modern Masters is coming. You're really pulling your fan base in so many different directions. And I get it, but at the same time, it's like it just feels very muddled in a way. And I worry that, you know, you're going to go into this weekend and let's say that, you know, Kaladesh, let's say you're watching the live coverage and you don't see anything that really strikes your fancy. You're gonna be like, okay, can we just talk about Amonkhet now? Can we talk about Modern? Right. You know, you're giving people an out if this doesn't deliver.
They really did a weird thing here, and I actually talked about this on Twitter for those of you that follow all of us, which I assume is most of our viewers. But and if you follow Trick at TrickMTG, who asked specifically about, do you like this new layout? You know, we're still working on it. And my response to that was, yeah, I like having them in bunches. I like it when it's not just one announcement here, one announcement there. But this is not the greatest way to do it, because you're burying the excitement of you know, Worlds is this weekend, which, you know, we'll talk about later. And you're, you know, sort of burying the lead on that. You're burying the lead on Kaladesh with this whole nother thing. And so now it's just overload of things to be excited about. And, you know, we only have so many spoons, as we like to say on the show. So, you know, I think it's a little bit weird. Back to Dual Deck Mind versus Might. There's one card that's probably a weird one for me to say that I'm really excited for there to be in my Mind versus Might, which is Might of Old Krosa.
Hello.
Which is a card that's in Infect decks, and it's like the most expensive card in Infect decks now because it's a $10 uncommon that's sold out like everywhere.
Good
it's
Lord.
An uncommon from Time Spiral, and they're $10 a piece if you can find them. So it has the word Might in it. So hope beyond hope that Might of Old Krosa is going to be in there.
Wow. Well, it's all right. So to go back and really, you know, touch quickly, what my point was that when they announce things, they still have to go back and kind of re-announce them. If you talk about the timing of this, I think it was pretty incredibly poor. It feels like this was something that was marked on a calendar for like the announcement day is this, and no matter what's going on with this, you know, this is the day it's going to happen. So this is the day we're going to make it happen, regardless of PAX this weekend, regardless of the World Championships this weekend. Note that the video references Kaladesh. They're doing the Inventors Fair. They're at PAX. This is amazing, fantastic. They're talking about all the new releases, and like you said, World Championships are, if they were mentioned, I don't really recall it. And it is weird that they were trying to, I think, really push World Championship stuff, and then they're like, oh, by the way, here's all this other amazing stuff. Yeah. If this had came out after, like, the week after the release of Kaladesh, basically the first week of October or second week of October, what happens is that after Kaladesh is out, and after we're kind of through Kaladesh and the Kaladesh is happening and the Pro Tour is up in a little while, and we kind of have that bit going, there's going to be that petering out, you know, for the holiday season. Kind of happens every year. Wizards takes half a month off or whatever. There's not a lot of releases at the end of the year so much. You know, we take a little bit of December and most of January off before we get into yet sort of another round. But so ultimately, you know, clearly I'm a Magic player and I would love to know this as soon as possible. But if I'm trying to look at it objectively for like what are Wizards' goals and the best way to achieve them and keeping people excited for a longer period of time, we were already excited about PAX this weekend. We were already excited about the World Championships. This was kind of bacon on your cheeseburger,
it's almost like getting your appetizer at the same time as you get your meal.
Yep. I hate that. That happens every once in a while. I hate that.
Yeah.
I don't want the salad anymore. Main course is here.
Yeah. So that's the thing. So let's keep moving here because Lord knows we have infinite topics of things. So on June 9th is a Commander Anthology. Now, the Anthology products are really interesting. They made one with the dual decks. And this is for the commanders, and they're taking 4 of some of the really expensive commander decks even. So there's 4 previous commander products: Heavenly Inferno, Evasive Maneuvers, Guided by Nature, and Plunder the Graves. They're all together. They're all being reprinted. They're all the original decks and everything that kind of came with them. And it just allows you to kind of put in a really nice package a ready to play, ready to go type set. It's $165, so it's pricey. It's probably more often going to be purchased just to sit on a shelf somewhere than it is to break open and play Commander with. I think it's kind of cute, when they're like, like your friends need Commander decks, and you're like, I didn't really want to buy 4 at once for $170. It's just a weird kind of way to sell it. I get it. It's just funny.
A $40 Commander deck is pretty cheap, so it's worth it if you look at it from that perspective. But you're right, it is a little bit odd.
It's just a sort of a high kind of investment for really something that I think they could have juiced maybe in a way or done something a little bit more interesting. Regardless, so we're going to keep on moving here. Archenemy, Nicol Bolas. Now, Archenemy is a product that I was afraid that they weren't going to come back to anymore.
Right.
I don't even know if I remember what they are. Like what?
It's like a WoW raid.
It's Archenemy allows you to be like the sort of the dungeon master, if you will, like the boss, the end boss.
Okay.
And all of your cards and all of your spells are like really powerful. You have these schemes that are going on all the time, and the schemes are like super powerful effects. Like you get to go search your library and put a planeswalker into play, and you could get that card on turn 1. It's like, and why? Because you have to defeat like 3 to 4 other people, and so they juice up all of your cards and what they do because you need that leg up on all of these people who are trying to kill you. And this one, what it was before, it was like you're the bad guy. But now they're saying you're Nicol Bolas, which I think is really interesting. Nicol Bolas won the best villains bracket that Mero ran on Twitter, which I thought was sweet. Which really says, people love Nicol Bolas, and the guy's awesome. So the set contains, and it's $60, which I thought was pretty affordable compared to the Commander Anthology was talked about. It contains 4 60-card decks with no new cards in it. However, there will be 4 non-foil planeswalker cards with new artwork and a 20-card scheme deck, those schemes I talked about, that contain 20 all-new unique schemes. So there are new schemes, there's just not new Magic cards.
Right.
And there is some new artwork. So it's playable right out of the box. It's really sweet. It's not going to be on Magic Online because that stuff, I have no idea how they would set that thing up. But it's really sweet for $60 coming next June. Is interesting. And so lastly, for the sort of the MTG announcement day stuff, which we'll get to a Planeswalker here in a minute, is the Hour of Devastation. The Hour of Devastation is upon us on July 14th, which is the second set of Amonkhet, and I'm sure everything is fine there.
Yeah, that sounds great.
I'm sure everything goes A-okay.
It's just an hour, though.
That's just the name of their punk band.
Right. That's just, what happens after you eat Nicol Bolas's like nachos.
5 bean chili. Yeah.
Is the Hour of Devastation. That's what happens. It's a rough time.
I'm sure everything's great. But I think that's
so between so
for
tell
a place that's controlled by Nicol Bolas, that doesn't sound like great news for Nicol Bolas, but we'll see.
Sure. So between Commander Anthology, Archenemy, and a brand new set, you guys ready for June and July next year?
Yeah, there's something happening at least once a month
all
from
the time
now until July. It's crazy how big Magic has gotten.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
We haven't even touched on Puzzle Quest. No, I'm kidding. Sorry, I didn't mean to.
They said a Puzzle Quest thing.
I'm sorry, I couldn't resist myself.
Well, a lot of people haven't touched on Puzzle Quest.
Wow.
High
five. We did it. Woo. But yeah, no, I mean,
that one burned a little bit.
That they're working on all cylinders, and I think that first of all, being a game company that can release things on time, we don't pay enough attention to that. So it's good for every once in a while to just be like, look, guys, Half-Life 3 not confirmed. StarCraft 2 took 10 years. We're getting something on this date announced, and nothing ever gets delayed, and they're great at that. So that's pretty awesome. And also, just as a Magic player, to have access to all of this cool stuff constantly is amazing. And also, this is also proof, by the way, that they're paying attention to those Mark Rosewater polls. Not the porn one, but the Egyptian plane won the most popular poll, right?
Well, I mean, clearly,
one was most popular villain.
From 2010, if they've been nesting these things deep, clearly this is the payoff.
Well, I mean, they did say that they had planned on Emrakul coming to Innistrad for a little while, so it's not outside the realm of possibility that this was buried in a file somewhere that they were going to revisit this, and I think it's awesome. And I also like that it gives people so many different ways to play Magic. A lot of people, people tend to think of only like the big formats. That there's Modern, there's Standard, there's EDH, and there's Legacy, and that's it. You have to play one of those things. And I think people forget that there is Tiny Leaders, and there is Pauper, and there is Plane Chase, and all these other things that you don't necessarily need to have these decks. You can sometimes just buy a commander deck. I've done it with my friends before and play it on a weekend. You can just pick up a dual deck or a clash deck or what have you, and it just gives you all these different ways to play it. They don't necessarily have to be serious or competitive. I mean, they can be if you want them to be, but sometimes you just want to have fun on a Saturday night and do something dumb, and it lets you do it in so many different ways.
By a wide margin, most of the players in the world
our kitchen table
haven't even heard of the Pro Tour.
Yeah.
Much less this show. I know our audience is a very specific subset that wants to pay attention to the goings on of the Magic, subculture and community, but most folks aren't even aware that there, is content being made for Magic. They just want to crack packs, add it to their casual decks, and play against their friends and beat them at lunch at the kitchen table. So, I love all this stuff.
So we got one last thing out of the video. Now, first of all, the video was, I encourage it. I think it's obvious that it was kind of their first video of this type, but I think that you only get better the more you do those things. Mm-hmm. And I think they should continue doing them. And so that's a good thing. But at the very end, we got to see the new, is it the president or CEO, or is it both?
He's the
president.
I'm not going to say it. It's Chris Cox. I was going to say he's the big cock at the top of the.
Wow.
That's his name. You said to say it.
I didn't.
I said it.
I'm just all right. Anyway,
it's a chicken. It's a male chicken.
Jesus. So Chris Cox was
he's the cock of the walk.
He kind of it was well. First of all, and again, I noted this in the pre-show. It's interesting that the head of Wizards is actually being a public figure in some fashion. Like he is in a Wizards video. That's a cool thing. That wasn't really anything that the previous president of Wizards really did. He's the boss, is what people are saying. We just call him the boss of Wizards. So anyway,
he's no cock Robin.
Don't go off half cock.
You guys all
I'm
done?
sure that he loved all these jokes when he was in the 3rd grade.
Wow, I'm sure he did every last time. So what he did give us was the name of one of the planeswalkers in Kaladesh, which of course is Chandra. She has to be in her home plane, while the Jace League, runs around the multiverse and all, which is sweet. And so we have Chandra, Torch of Defiance, and this was made
that name.
by Magali, and I'm going to try this here. Villanueve.
Good job.
Yep.
Good job.
Thank you. So
she did both the Narsets and has been doing a bunch of stuff, right?
She did
the new Thalia.
She did the new Thalia, that just came out, and she's just absolutely killing it, and one of the best illustrators to come to Magic. I love that they're giving her a lot more work. I think she totally deserves it, and every one of her images is just breathtaking. Yeah, so I got it on the screen now if you wanted to take a look at it. What do you guys think about Chandra, Torch of Defiance? You think she might deal damage?
Yeah. I think that the word deal and damage are a good bet to be on the card. I think it would be quite surprising if she were multicolored as well, probably a mono red planeswalker. But yeah, I'm happy that it's nice that Magic has its main protagonist in Jace, but every once in a while you gotta go away from your main character. You gotta check in on Watson every once in a while Holmes is off doing his main character business. Mm-hmm. And it's nice that the secondary protagonist, if you will, is Chandra. Is a first of all, female character from a plane that we aren't even close to being aware of. So it's nice that we get to have her be center stage here on her home world. Hopefully it's playable. I mean, the most recent Chandra was playable, but it was a billion mana, and so it's mostly been a role player in at least the last month or so, I guess. But yeah, I love the art, love the name. Torch of Defiance is a sweet name. And yeah, I can't wait to see more.
Awesome. Erin, you ready to burn them up?
I am. I kind of want to talk about something else. I kind of... Not on this wall, you don't. So I want to talk about Chandra in a different capacity. There was a lot of talk regarding Chandra and Nissa. Did you guys read this new story?
What happened exactly? I did not read it this time.
So I will read you a couple excerpts while we have time, because there is obviously something happening between Chandra and Nissa that doesn't happen between other characters. So I'm going to set the scene. So Chandra and Nissa are in a garden of some kind. And Chandra is telling the story from the first person perspective. And this is her describing Nissa, like we all describe our girlfriends. Dark hair unbound, spilling in waves over her shoulders, trailing across her lap. She's woven little flowers around the crown of her head. Butterflies are dancing around her. She pays them no mind. A shaft of light through the leaves paints her in golden sun. She smells like anyone's best childhood memory. Do you describe your friends like that? Because I don't.
Well,
yeah. Oh, we're not even done. We're not even done.
I'm a dude, so I don't describe my friends at all.
Right.
Okay. I giggle.
He's that guy.
Yeah,
No,
I giggle and try to push the hair off my sweaty forehead. I'm steaming under her gaze, skin gone molten. I think I'm crushing your flowers.
This is Chandra writing this?
This is Chandra. Yeah.
I never took Chandra as the poet.
Right, as the romantic.
Oh, and the kicker. Okay. I struggle to pull in a breath. I think Jace would prefer that, so I don't wreck his house. I mean, he's got expensive stuff all over. To which Nissa replies, I can teach you to meditate if you wish.
Hey, man.
Planeswalker
Planeswalker College is a place for experimentation.
Oh, my God.
You know, in the
Chandra's home
halls...
world, this is just like where she's from.
What happens in the halls of the Justice League stays in the halls.
That's the Justice League. We're far away from the Justice League. We're in Chandra's fiery furnace now.
Oh, that's true. Fiery furnace of
Chandra
love.
is lit over here.
Chandra's a little kiln fiend over here, and I'm completely
hell kitten.
Yes,
yeah, not bad.
Wow.
You know, and it makes me happy to see her happy because she's had such a tough time.
Right.
You know, always so mad.
The Disney parents are killed kind of thing.
Now she's like smoldering, which is nice.
Yeah. Right,
it's her hair is sticking to her forehead like moltenness.
Wow, moltenness.
I don't like moltenness. I think we could have done better than moltenness.
I think we could have worked a little harder on that one.
But
a little bit.
You know what? Again, college. You get a B- on the paper. It's okay. Not every line is perfect.
So here is how big and how much stuff that we have to talk about. It seems we're already half an hour in, ladies and gentlemen. Mm-hmm. So we're going to keep moving here. There was a spoiler this week. That's how big this week is. We're just getting to the friggin' spoiler for Kaladesh.
I believe they're called unofficial previews.
Unofficial. So apparently this was in a stack of like F&M promos or something that a store got. So when they were printing the promos, they just threw in the wrong one. They threw in the launch promo, what I would describe probably as the buy a box promo, something like that. So Saheeli's Artistry is from Kaladesh. But that's why it has the date on it, and that is the date of the launch of the set. So, Saheeli's Artistry is a 2-blue, 4 generic mana rare sorcery that says choose one or both. Create a token that's a copy of target artifact, or create a token that's a copy of target creature, except it's an artifact in addition to its other types. And so it's got Saheeli on it. The artwork is totally sweet. And on this version, it is stamped of 30th September 2016. So that to me is the launch promo. And you know, it tells you, I think, a lot, honestly, about like what Saheeli is about artifacts. She's about manipulating artifacts, copying artifacts, doing things with artifacts. On the image is absolutely amazing. That shows her, you know, manipulating sort of the filigree of the you know, the metal, and it's flying around and whatnot. Clearly, she's making copies of things like this on stuff like Wormcoil Engine is just living the absolute dream. But being able to copy anything with really some good high upside value. This is a card that definitely looks more casual than competitive because it's 6 mana, and by the time you get there, you may not be able to take advantage of it. Of course, I wouldn't say that for sure because everything is contextual. But either way, it's awesome. I know Wizards didn't mean it, but it's still awesome to get a preview like this late, or this early rather, like, because honest to God, we're just in nonstop Christmases at this point. We're just in nonstop Christmas season.
I have a rules question about this. So let's say, I'm curious about the timing of this. Like, let's say you have a Tarmogoyf. Yes. And this is Fantasyland here. So you create a token of the Tarmogoyf, and it's now an artifact in addition to a Lurgoyf, which is what Tarmogoyf is, can you then use the first mode to copy the artifact Tarmogoyf, or does it you have to? Do you get what I'm saying? Like
you have to choose targets before you pay costs, and then
so you couldn't get 3 Tarmos out of the deal. You would just get 2, and then that's what I was asking.
Right. Yeah, the order for casting a spell, the second mode is to choose which mode you choose, and then I think the 4th one is targets, right, Evan?
Yes, something like that.
It's either 3rd or 4th. Judge in the chat, let me know. But yeah, you got to choose a mode first. So there's no way to get 3 things out of this.
Right. Okay. You can get 3 Wormcoils, however, as I mentioned.
Can you?
Which is fantastic. Well, not 3, as in like you'll make a total of 3,
right?
Because you're able to copy the artifact and copy the creature. Because it's both, if that makes sense.
Yeah, but if you just have a non-creature artifact or non-artifact creature, you can't make the Tarmogoyf artifact and then make the artifact. You have to start with a Wormcoil. Yeah.
Right. So, but either way, as a 6 mana, do something really totally awesome.
Yeah.
I think it's a pretty cool 6 mana, do totally something really awesome.
Yeah,
is the way I put it. So high fives, I guess, on the early spoiler. I know, again, it sucks because Wizards never wants it this way, but it's just kind of how the cookie crumbles.
This one's a pretty harmless one to be an early spoiler. I always think the box promos are pretty harmless.
Yeah. And they're normally like fun, usually kind of silly cards or casual cards. We have our spoiler here next week, live.
Right.
Live, 11
it's
o'clock.
It's insane.
Our spoiler is great.
So I feel like every card we've had before has been good in a way that you have to kind of work for.
Right.
I feel like the one we're about to preview needs no explanation. Like we don't got to sell this to you. Like we can just drop it on the table and be like, "Sup." Like.
In fact, our whole next week's show is just going to be that on the screen for 5 minutes, while none of us say anything, and you can all bask in its glory.
I mean, it needs. I mean, yeah.
Right. We're going to be on like Mimosa 30, and you guys are just going to be basking in that card, and that's how we roll previews up in here. But yeah, so Wizards gave us a good one, and that's always appreciated.
Hashtag Mimosa 30. Keep that one later.
That's right. You can. That one's free, buddy. That one's for you. So Saheeli's Artistry is a card. It is coming. That's sweet. We're gonna get into. This week was really interesting. There was a lot of drama. A lot of the D, as it were, and. So all we're going to do in this next segment, particularly sort of this next little bit, and I'm going to let Erin do the majority of this, but I just wanted to kind of set it up, is that some things happened this week in the community, and sometimes you deal with things where the best thing you can do, sometimes in thermonuclear global war, the best play is not to play.
Right.
So sometimes the best thing is to explain what happened because, I feel the people who are watching, the people who listen, the people who watch us on YouTube, they're here because they care about Magic. They want to know what's going on in the Magic community. We don't necessarily have to break down every topic ever. So, Erin, tell me a little bit about what happened to Aintrazi at a Star City Games Open and what's going on currently.
Specifically what he did at an open. So SCG Syracuse happened the weekend of August 13th, and Ollie was there. There was also a woman there who happened to be trans. She's named Amanda, and Amanda was playing Magic with some friends. Ollie and her apparently didn't know each other, so they had no prior engagement. They had no groundwork with which to base certain jokes on. Like Ruben and I have the kind of relationship where we have a dynamic where we can pick on each other. Certain jokes are not they're not off the table. We can kind of go there with each other. Amanda and Ollie didn't know each other like that. And so Ollie assumed that Amanda was not trans. I don't know if he thought that she was just a guy playing around or just a guy playing dress up or whatever it might be. But he basically came up to her unprompted, unannounced, and asked if he could feel her up, if he could grab her boobs, thinking that she was, whatever was going on. He thought there was some humor to be found there. Amanda was rightfully upset about this and went to the judge staff about it. Ultimately, Ollie was asked to leave the venue for the day and was allowed to come back the following day. Full disclosure, I heard about this because I was sort of recruited to help him learn from this. So after the incident happened, Ollie went to Stibbs, who's his boss at TCG Player, Adam Staborski, felt really bad about what happened and immediately kind of wanted to do something. Like he wanted to apologize, he wanted to make it right somehow. And so Stibbs pointed him towards me and Emma Handy and other trans folks in the community that maybe he could learn from. And so Ali friended me on Facebook, and he had sent me a private message and recapped the story and told me what happened. And the plan was that he was going to write an article on TCG Player addressing the issue. And the way that I told him that he could spin this is to, when we hear stories like this, there are a lot of good guys in the community, and everybody thinks that they would never do this. You hear things like this, you hear the dumb jokes, you hear the harassment, and you think, well, you hear a lot of these, well, I have a daughter and I have a mother and I have a wife and I would never talk to women this way. And somebody screwed up. He screwed up in a very big way. And so the way that I suggested he spin this is to spin it as to say, I didn't think I was the type of person that would do this either, and I did. And here's how you can learn from my mistake. He seemed really receptive to that idea, like he was going to write an article. And then he decided to screw all of that and write a Facebook post in the middle of the night and make it public. So about a week and a half later, we're thinking there's an article coming, we're having conversations, and 9 p.m. on the 25th, he spits out this post. And then he apparently kind of glosses over some things. He kind of words things kind of opaquely. Some have argued that not a lot of responsibility was taken. And the Facebook post just becomes trash, like instantly. The conversation moves over to Reddit. The thread ultimately ended up being locked after the mods banned 24 people. And think about it, this is Reddit. So the moderators found 24 people who were terrible and said, you got to go. Like, that's how bad the discussion was. This led to Amanda writing her own post with her own take on what happened, which made its way to TCG Player, and TCG announced that they were going to be suspending him as a content creator indefinitely. So Ali's no longer writing for TCG Player anymore. There is still some discussions being had. Emma Handy, another visible trans figure, released her own statement about it. I kind of released a little statement. And we're sort of now dealing with the aftermath of what do we learn from this and how do we deal with it? And it's been probably the most polarizing topic I've seen in quite some time.
Yeah. So ladies and gentlemen, that is the recap of kind of what happened. So you can have the knowledge of at least sort of the outward shell of the events. You can dig in if you'd like. So you can Google that stuff if you want.
Yep. If someone brings up the topic in conversation or something like that, you will be informed, because people come to Magic Mike's to be informed.
That's what we're here to do. We're here to talk about
regardless
the
of
news.
whether it's a comfortable topic or not. I mean, sometimes the news isn't all rainbows and puppies. But
there's a couple of things I want to touch on. I was really hesitant to talk about this. When Emma gave her statement, people were looking to me to say something. And I'll admit I didn't really want to get involved, because I felt it was a very polarizing topic. And I felt like it was something that to be discussed in 140 characters or to be discussed in a 10-minute podcast segment really wouldn't do it justice. Like, there's a lot to unpack here. But I do kind of want to touch on a couple takeaways from this. We talked about what you can learn from this experience and some of the things that I saw being discussed that really bothered me. So the one thing I want to stress is that trans people deserve respect regardless of what we look like. There were a lot of comments made about Amanda because she doesn't what we say pass very well or present very well. And by her own admission, she admits in her article that she's not necessarily the most femme girl, and she's fine with that. But regardless of how she looks, regardless if you are very passable or regardless if you are not passable, if you say, I identify this way and this is my name and these are the terms I prefer to use, you respect them. You don't necessarily have to understand it. You don't necessarily have to see it. But if they make that case of this is how I want to be seen, you really should do that. I saw somebody on Reddit who said something like, well, if Erin Campbell had made this accusation, I would believe her. And that's a really bad way to look at it. It doesn't matter if it comes from me or if it comes from anybody. If somebody says, I'm feeling unsafe and I'm feeling harassed, again, you listen. And that's the other thing I want people to take away from this too, is we really could use more listening. I really would have liked more people to have listened. When women come out with their stories about harassment or bad local game stores, everybody's got to chime in. They've got to be first, they've got to be right, they've got to be funny. And when you do all of that, you're not listening. And then, you know, these guys will come out of the woodwork and say, well, I've never heard of people doing this. I've never heard of this going on at local game stores. No, because you're too busy talking. You're too busy trying to be the first one to get that upvote, to get that comment in there. And instead of just sitting back and listening to people's stories, we've been telling our stories this whole time, and you're not listening because you're too busy trying to rebut them or rebuke them or whatever the rebuttal, whatever that verb tense is. And, you know,
rebuke.
if you just, right, thank you. And if you just sat there and listened to people and listened to our experiences, this wouldn't be so foreign to you. And you wouldn't have that surprise look on your face when something like this happens. And so, you know, the two main takeaways is, like I said, trans people deserve respect no matter what we look like. And number two, if you really want to help, if you really want to be an ally, if you really want to be a good guy, if you really want to sit with us, just listen. Like, that's really all I need you to do sometimes.
We've had that, honestly, we've had that advice before in a lot of other situations.
Yeah.
Whether or not it's
listen.
this one or otherwise. Sometimes, you know, you just have to, you know, be like, look, maybe I don't know what's going on, so I just won't try to be, you know, like, I'm not trying to be cute or funny or informative way I'm not, but we have to keep moving.
Yeah, totally.
Because we got infinite, so let's keep moving here. So we're going to talk about something far lighter. Let's go to something cool and fun and interesting, because this is great. The Eternal Weekend playmats were announced. And this is for the Legacy Championship and the Vintage Championship. It happens every year. And the participants of this event, holy snaps.
Yeah.
I'm bringing them up on the screen now. The Legacy Championship, oh my God, it gets Rishadan port. It is so beautiful. I'm going to make it big here on the screen. And as you can see on the screen, the Vintage get Jace the Mind Sculptor. And I'll tell you why that's important here in a minute. But I'm blowing this up. This Rishadan port is just, oh my God. It's just gorgeous. I can't handle it. It's so gorgeous. I can't.
I think that it's the best playmat I've ever seen for an event. I'm pretty sure. Based on a card. I mean, there have been some fun, like, you know, the Goblins playing hockey for Toronto GP a couple years ago, and like all those, you know, when we in that cartoon phase for a little bit at GPs. But this playmat with this art in particular fits the mode for what you want a playmat to be and do, and it's gorgeous. This is the playmat for anyone, if anyone gets their hands on it. It seems like that I don't think you can get better. Like, I would be hard pressed to look through Magic's history and find a piece of art from Magic history that would work better as a playmat.
There's so much that goes right with this playmat, because not only is it it's absolutely gorgeous, it perfectly fits the Legacy Championship in terms of being a card in Legacy. It's something that people have had to wait on. We've waited for a Rishadan port playmat forever, and now we finally have it. That's a big deal. Yep. It's absolutely gorgeous. It's in the right event. It's going to be worth playing. It's the first playmat, and I mean, it's the first playmat in a long time, and I've been doing this a long time, that I would probably pay for that playmat. I would buy that playmat. I'll take my American currency and I'll exchange it for my good and my service of sending it to me so I may have it in my life. It is absolutely amazing. Erin, are you ready for a Rishadan port playmat?
Oh my God.
It doesn't dredge, so...
It doesn't,
dredge.
sorry.
It's fine. No,
it goes into your graveyard with Life from the Loam, which has dredge, so there's that.
There you go.
I think it's cute when they try to Rishadan port me because I don't need the mana. But no, I'm really excited about this. You know, Eternal Weekend, you know, I've talked about this on my other show. You know, I'm very intimidated by Eternal Weekend. You know, it's a very respected, these are epic formats, old formats, respected decks. And, you know, it's one of those things, I'm looking at the website now and I'm just like, I'm not worthy. Like, I don't know what I would do. I had somebody, Grandpa Belcher, if you're familiar, offered to loan me Bazaars. He was like, if you want to come...
All-star.
Wow.
He was like, if you want to come to Eternal Weekend, I will loan you Bazaars. And I didn't know what to say. I was just like, So I would love to go to this, and especially seeing that playmat. That playmat definitely makes me want to get over my inhibitions and just freaking go, because it's so sweet. And everything about this just drips epic. And I'm like,
yeah, we, you know, it's...
Rishadan Port is a big piece of my personal Magic history, because it's the first Magic card more than $10 that I bought.
Really?
They were $15 a piece, and I needed some for a deck.
Oh,
and
man.
it's the first one I ever bought for a standard deck.
Wow.
Other than packs. I mean, I used to just crack boxes like they were candy. but it's the first time I went out of my way to buy singles.
So
are you going to Eternal Weekend, Ruben?
Well, here
it's in Columbus, Ohio.
Right. So let me get the event details for those who are interested, because I'll give Card Titan a little love here. Card Titan is going to present the Eternal Weekend on October 27th through 30th. Where Friday they're going to have the Vintage Championship, on Saturday they're going to have the Legacy Championship, and they're going to have the top 8 of both on that Sunday. So, and it is in Columbus. It's at the Greater Columbus Convention Center, which is an amazing convention center.
Right smack dab in the middle of town. If you guys need any information on the Columbus Convention Center, you can ask me, but I feel like my inbox is going to get filled up pretty quick. But Columbus is a good time, and yeah, I grew up there.
So Halloween weekend. Yeah.
Halloween in Columbus too.
Oh wow!
I have a good idea. I'm sorry, I have to interrupt this whole discussion.
Let's go.
Because it is Halloween weekend. I went to school at Ohio University in Southern Ohio, which is about an hour and a half away, which has the nation's largest Halloween party.
Nice.
Right?
Oh, man.
About 125,000 people fill up this 1.5 mile stretch of brick road in downtown Athens. So what we're gonna do is, everybody, what we're going to do is we're going to dress up, play in that, drive to Athens, party, and then drive back for a top 8.
Nice. Yeah, because clearly we're going to be in the top 8. So,
yeah,
but
what,
so we
Erin
have
has
to.
Bazaars. How could she be stopped?
And I do have my pro point. You know, this is the next step. You earn a pro point, you crush Eternal Weekend. It's been leading up to this.
Yeah.
Right.
So the previous of these Eternal Weekends had been in Philadelphia, and this was like the big change a couple months ago when they announced this, is that they moved it to the Midwest. The bulk of especially vintage players live in the Northeast, but moving it to the Midwest opens it up to the RIW crowd. It opens it up to the Chicago/Madison crowd, and it opens it up to a much larger percentage of the population. And let's not kid ourselves. Everyone from Boston and New York is still going.
Oh, yeah.
So I definitely think that this has a chance to be an enormous pool of players.
Sure. I'm so not worried. And that's what's intimidating about it. It's all these people and these epic decks, and it's just like, I can't.
Yeah, so the registration cost for both of these is $60 a piece. I am very confident that the playmat you're getting for either of the vintage or legacy events is worth $60 easily. So let's go back here for a minute, because we got to talk about this. Now, Rishadan Port, absolutely unbelievably amazing. They killed it, but they also killed it with a vintage mat, which is Jace, the Mind Sculptor. We have never, ever gotten an official Jace the Mind Sculptor playmat till now. There was one weird, it was part of kind of a collage of arts or something on a playmat once, but it was never, here's Jace the Mind Sculptor. And in fact, there was, I think, for a time there, Wizards wanted to kind of, downplay Jace the Mind Sculptor a little bit, because he was kind of everywhere all the time forever. But to be able to see him here on his official playmat for the Vintage Championships, this playmat, in my opinion, is worth the ability to literally sign up for the Vintage Championships just to register 60 islands. 60 islands, take your playmat, sell it for $100 or something, because these things are going to be solid gold. And it's what happens to these really iconic cards, and they're not going to be making that many playmats, and players really have to make an effort to go to this one spot on Earth on this time, on this day, in order to make sure that they get their copy of whatever playmat it is they want the most. So, the Jace playmat is fan-freaking-tastic. The Rishadan Port playmat is just out of this world. So I just have to give it up that the playmat choices were they just did it. They really did. You killed it. You couldn't have done it any better. So congratulations on that. So we're going to go from sweet playmat action. We're going to talk a little bit more about playmats. Now, the next little bit here is the red zone. There's some grinds to gear, or gears to grind, if you will.
Wait, is this the red zone?
A little bit. It's getting a little crunchy up in here. But what we're going to do, it's not so much, and the red zone isn't necessarily a debate all the time. It could just be, things and stuff. So what I will note here is I'm going to refrain from the current discussion until we move on to splash damage. But and lastly, I'll note that any opinions that they have are not necessarily my own. I'm just here to hang out while we explain this segment. Ruben,
can I do the breakdown, and then Ruben, you give the feels?
Sure, man.
Okay, because you had more feelings about it than I did, and I want to hear them. So
you have more thoughts. I have more feelings.
Exactly. We've got this. We are a deadly duo. So Grand Prix Atlanta is
Evan,
coming
go
up.
get a popsicle or something.
Yep.
Evan, go be pretty for us. Just mug for the camera.
Okay.
Right.
So Grand Prix Atlanta is coming up. It is a
That's
Grand
our
Prix...
new gift, by the way. Sorry.
Yeah. So Grand Prix Atlanta is coming up. It is being hosted by Star City Games. According to the countdown on the website, it is 36 days and 10 hours away. It is jam-packed with people like Christine Sprinkle, Jason Engel, Doug Schuler, Dan Fraser, Therese Nielsen is going to be there. This sounds like a really good time. They are, again, offering the Infinite Challenge registration package. They have given the Show Up and Play experience a massive facelift, Stoneforge Mystic promos, and a really, really nice Grand Prix Atlanta playmat. And this just is amazing. You know, you're getting to the bottom of the page and you're like, does this get any better? You get to the last paragraph and you're expecting to see more goodies, and you find a sentence buried in the last paragraph that basically tells you that if you want that sweet GP Atlanta play match, that you can only get it if you register before 11:59 p.m. on Friday, September 9th. For those playing the home game, GP Atlanta is October 7th through the 9th.
Yeah, I'm trying to do the math in my head here.
So what they're saying is that if you do not pre-reg at least 30 days before the event, you do not get a play match. And this is something that we've gotten very used to, that no matter, you can, and as much as we gripe about it, you can register the day before, the night before that, the Thursday of, and you'll still show up, to a GP and get your voucher and get your playmat. Not anymore. And Ruben, how do you mean this is great, obviously, right?
No, this is stupid.
It's scaring people into pre-regging.
Stop it. Stupid. So this is notable for a couple of reasons. First of all, Star City Games, which of course I used to be an employee of, has done a lot of great things and is extremely good at running Grand Prix and has brought a lot of unique aspects to Grand Prix. Among them was that Star City Games was, I believe, the first company, tournament organizer, to offer playmats to all players.
Yes.
Not just while supplies last, not just for top 8, not just for the first X people that walk in the door. Everybody. And that was a big deal. And it's sort of become the standard now. And it's really bizarre, not only that they're making this change, but sort of how they, I guess you call this announcing it. It is on the Grand Prix Atlanta homepage, which is grandpriatlanta.starcitygames.com.
It is literally sandwiched in the last paragraph.
Right.
Like you had to make it. I'm sorry.
You have to make an effort to find it.
Oh,
the exclusive Grand Prix playmat will only be included as part of et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. The reasoning they say here is this change was made to ensure that everyone planning on participating in the main event would still have an opportunity to receive Grand Prix Atlanta's exclusive playmat as part of their main event registration, while simultaneously incentivizing those fans to register approximately a month in advance so we can better plan the event and enhance the overall experience for everyone in attendance. Okay, I can see why you would say that. It doesn't make it right, but I can see why you would say that. You know exactly how many playmats to bring, depending on who you're ordering the playmats from, I guess. You know exactly how many to get printed. But by the same token, like, it's I say announced because this is the Grand Prix Atlanta website. Most people aren't even aware that there's a Grand Prix specific website. Like, people watching this show probably are, just like people watching this show are aware that there's a Pro Tour. But like I mentioned earlier, most people aren't even aware that there's a Pro Tour. Just like most people aren't even aware that there's a Grand Prix Atlanta homepage. People are just like, oh, there's a Magic tournament in town in a week and a half. I'll be going to that as a local. Or, my friends roped me in last minute to get into their hotel room. And then, if you've played in a Grand Prix over the last 8 years, I don't know when they started doing this, where you regularly get a playmat regardless of when if you sign up at the door on Friday night or the morning of, back in the old days of Grand Prix. It's kind of just a weird thing to drop in at the end of a welcome article thing. I just think it's kind of bizarre. And it's exclusively just a bad... I mean, it makes sense monetarily from the company, I guess, but there's no upside for the players or the fans. And the players who are most impacted by this are the casual folks. Like I mentioned, they're not even aware that there's a website for Grand Prix Atlanta unless they're pointed to it by one of their friends who I guess has to be more competitive. And I don't think that that's a good precedent to set. So it's it's kind of unfortunate that not only is this change happening, not only is it Star City Games that instigated the change, but the way they announced it was super weird. And I don't know. I just don't get. I mean, Star City Games does almost everything right.
Yeah.
Almost. But which makes it so much weirder when they get something this wrong.
And you can tell that they did a good job burying it because nobody's talked about this. And maybe they just don't care. Maybe people don't care about playmats. Maybe our echo chamber is full of people who are competitive, and so they could give a care. But, it is
I also
telling
don't know that there's a website.
Exactly. It is telling that we are the only show, to my knowledge, that has caught on to this and is like, this is kind of goofy. And, yeah.
I mean, it's just a bizarre thing. And it makes me sad because the people who are going to be affected by it aren't you. It's not me. It's not the folks listening to the show. It's the people who go with their buddies last minute. It's the casual folks who didn't know what a Grand Prix was until 2 weeks ahead of time.
And a month is a long. I mean,
month is a long time.
I definitely support. There have been some efforts recently to sort of inspire people to pre-reg because there are those people. I remember the big kerfuffle that happened at GP Philly or GP Pittsburgh when you had all those pros that were like, oh man, it's capped and now I can't go, and it was like 4 days before. I think that's certainly a little obnoxious. Waiting until the 4-day mark, but 30 days before, that's a big window to crawl through.
Now, I get that we don't even have the playmat art yet. I get that that's not even on the website. And what am I going to do with more mats? I'm going to put them on the floor in front of my closet like I always do. I know that, look, if there's ever a red zone topic on putting mats on your floor as carpeting, I know I'm losing that argument. I've come to terms with that. But, I don't need another playmat.
No.
But the people who are going to be affected by this change are the people who are going to want the playmat. That's the whole problem. Is that the people who pre-register already have a stack of playmats that they can't get rid of. Mm-hmm. The people who are going to be affected by this change don't have any, want a souvenir, won't get one.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're going to move on here from the red zone to splash damage. Now, splash damage is when something happened that is tangentially related to Magic, but it's not always related to Magic, so I have a few of these things that are pulled up. So, Erin, I think actually you would be best to introduce this segment, #Baywatch, because we're going to talk a little bit about Reed Duke. And after we do this, because I accidentally skipped over it, what we will do after that point is we are going to draft our World Championship team. We're going to do a Magic World Championship draft of players. So I have a little bit of that fun before we get to the finisher. Go ahead, Erin. What are we talking about?
So a couple weeks ago, I had the bright idea to recreate a meme. There's a very popular meme called Feminist Ryan Gosling, and it's basically pictures of Ryan Gosling, and then there's words above it like, "Hey girl, my sweater's made out of material, boyfriend material," and just like very very strange kind of romantic lines. And there was actually a book of all the memes that were compiled, and it took off. And everybody loves Reed Duke, and I was watching the Pro Tour, and I was like, wouldn't it be fabulous if there was a Feminist Reed Duke where it was like, "Hey girl, let's discuss intersectional feminism while we wait for pairings to go up." And I was like, that'd be really dope. And so I was on the Magic the Amateuring show the other day, and the girls and I somehow got on the subject, and there was a listener who caught that. And when I was on the road to Indianapolis the other day, a young man named Jeff made 4 memes of Feminist Reed Duke, one of which is, "Hey girl, I won this GP because of your emotional support." And it has Reed relaxing on the recliner on the beach after his GP Miami win. And it's just so perfect, and it's so appropriate. And, there's another one that says, "Hey girl, I noticed your basics matched almost as well as our shared relationship expectations." And it's just so brilliant, and it's so Reed. And I had no idea that this was going to take off. Like, I just retweeted it, and before I knew it, Steve Argyle had retweeted it. You retweeted it. Todd Anderson. Reed's mentions must have just been trash the other day, and I'm so sorry, but everybody just caught on to it. My Facebook was blowing up with it. Everybody was like, "This is perfect." And it's just, and then somebody had requested a feminist Numat the Nummy, and so there's a couple Kenji memes out there as well, and it's just a great way to show appreciation for, you know, your favorite male players, and you know, we like them because they're good people, and these are things that we secretly maybe wish they would say to us, and it's all in jest, and it's all in good fun, and it was just so positive, and I'm glad so many people got on board with it.
It was just really funny. I'll bring in one on the screen. You already mentioned one, but the other one was, you know, and I think you mentioned the "Hey girl, I won this GP because of your emotional support." So at least it's on the screen now. It was like his epic like shot of him on the beach. He's just like chilling, you know, super BA as Reed Duke is, because Reed Duke is awesome. It cracks me up. It's one of those things. I love memes. If you know me, you know I love memes.
Yeah.
So that's a thing that I thought everything kind of came together.
I have two. I wrote two.
Mm.
You want to hear them?
Oh, let's hear it.
All right. Girl, you can keep your lands in front as long as you keep the patriarchy in the back.
Oh! Yes!
And the second one is high roll to see who goes first. Girl, you're always on the play in my book.
Oh my god, brilliant.
All right,
Brilliant.
so
Those are the two I came up with.
So, Ruben, are you running this draft here? Is that what we're doing?
Sure, we can do that.
All
right. So, in case you weren't aware, wait, am I introducing a segment? Am I Evan Irwin now?
You are introducing the segment, ladies and gentlemen.
All right, so the 2016, I don't even know, I'm so flustered. You make me so nervous.
Oh, now we're
The
flustering.
2016 Magic World Championship is happening this very weekend, people. 24
Tomorrow.
of the best, that's right, starts tomorrow. 24 of the best Magic players on planet Earth are going to be in Seattle, Washington for PAX West, the Penny Arcade Expo Western Edition, to compete on Magic's most prestigious stage for the title of World Champion. And so what we're going to do is we're going to do something that has become popular across all types of different sports. So why not cardboard athletics as well?
What?
We're going to be doing a fantasy draft.
Yes.
Now, the way a fantasy draft works is, well, we're already kind of a fantasy draft because it's Magic the Gathering and we're all wizards and dragons.
Clearly.
So it's already a fantasy draft. But the way that this is going to work is that we're going to be drafting rotisserie style, which means that it goes first, second, third, second, first, and we're going to snake draft it.
Right,
And so third pick is going to get the wheel. Based on my three-sided coin, I have decided that I am going first, Evan's going second, and Erin is going third. That is the randomization that I came up with.
Okay.
And so with the first pick in the 2016 Magic Mike's Digital Athletics Fantasy Draft.
Quite an acronym you have there.
Now,
I
Ruben,
don't know what it
you
stands
got to
for.
make sure you're writing these down.
Yes, I'm going to write them all down.
Okay.
I got them all down.
Okay.
I'm going to first pick. I mean, it's very obvious who I'm first picking.
Who you
I
first
don't know
picking?
how you could pick anyone else other than Owen Turtenwald. The
Wow.
current reigning player of the year. He's got 4 Grand Prix wins. He's coming off a finals appearance in the most recent Pro Tour. He's just the most impressive player on the planet. Don't take my word for it. Take basically all of the best players in the world's word for it. So Owen Turtenwald is my first pick.
Well, I'll tell you who my first pick is. Now, sometimes people run hot, and sometimes people run white hot. And Seth Manfield, that boy runs smoking. That boy, whoo! He's on fire. And even when you thought he couldn't keep rolling, he continues to roll, put up amazing performances, is the defending world champion. Seth Manfield is my choice for number 2. Aaron, you get
Aaron?
2. You get dubs.
Aaron, you get 2. That's right.
Oh,
Because you're the
man.
wheel.
Bay.
Hashtag Baywatch.
Hashtag Baywatch!
I'm
Great
watching.
drink.
And I'm also going to choose Shota Yasuka. Secret member, hashtag Team Petty. I love him to pieces. So Shota and Reed.
Wow. Good picks.
Yeah.
Evan?
Okay. All right. So Up next is somebody that I'm not sure if everybody's heard of. I think they might have to look him up, maybe Google him. This guy, Louis.
I'm already writing down initials.
Louis. He is also known as Luck Skill Victory. Is also known as LSV. I will take Louis Scott Vargas. Thank you.
It's a good pick. All right, I got 2 back-to-back.
Right.
I'm gonna go a little off the beaten path with one of my picks, I think, and then I'm going right down the middle with another one of my picks. I think that there are a couple of people on the board who I think would be pretty obvious, early draft picks. One of them that isn't going to be that early is Lucas Blohan. And the reason why I'm picking Lucas is for several reasons. One, he's one of the most well-respected European players that has ever played the game. If you talk to anyone from the mainland Europe, they speak volumes about Lucas. Lucas also won the most recent Pro Tour, and he has the highest constructed win percentage on the Pro Tour this whole past year. Wow. So Lucas Blohan is number 6. And then, there's a couple obvious picks left over, but I'm going to take, among the players who are remaining, the player, and among all players, actually, the player who has the most all-time pro points and the most all-time money cashes is also a collection of initials, and his name is PVDDR, Paulo Vitor Damo da Rosa, is going to be my next round pick.
Paulo Vitor, Dance Dance Revolution.
That's right.
All right. So I am going to choose a man of high caliber, a man who brings the spells. And that man is Yuya Watanabe. He is a newly inducted Hall of Famer alongside Owen Turtenwald. He is an incredible Magic player. That boy has a tough time losing. Let's put it that way. Mm-hmm. He's very good. Erin?
Absolutely.
I'm going to choose the long-lost member of the band Fun, also known as Andrea Mengucci, because he's just Gucci. He's great.
You get 2.
Oh, sweet. All right, so we're going to choose Andrea, and while we're on an international kick, there's Swedish Kibler, and then there's Danish Bieber, also known as Martin Muller. So we're going to take Martin Muller.
I see.
Nice.
All right, so those are your 4.
Yeah, Muller got 5th last year. Heartbreaker tie breaks last year.
I see.
So. He has insane eyebrows too. They just pop, just
pow.
Always coming at it with the relevant information. Is Erin Campbell.
Always making that happen. So I'm gonna take another one for my last pick. I'm gonna take somebody who's a little quiet, but let me tell you, the guy is an absolute superstar. I've told this story before, but he is a man when I was in Japan who helped me not get stupidly, horribly lost. I would have gotten completely destroyed if Shota Yasuka hadn't said, hey...
Shota's already gotten picked.
What?
Shota got picked
it
4th.
was Bay and Shota.
Man, I built all that up and everything. Fine, I'm
taking the story, though.
You know what? I still like the story. But what I will do instead is take my buddy Brad Nelson.
Yeah.
Aww.
You know what?
Bart Narson.
I think he might get there. He's a man who, I think he's ready for a good finish like this in an event like this. I'm ready to see Brad do amazing well. He got top 8 at the Invitational. I think he's rolling pretty hot.
Yeah.
I think that Brad is a really good pick for a number of reasons. One of which is that he's used to playing in small field, multiple format tournaments of various sizes. And for that reason, my last pick, I'm going way, way off the board and taking BBD. I think that BBD has the most experience with small format, with small field, multi-format tournaments, and I think that he knows what to do with those specifically. He's also the Grand Prix master for the year, which means that he has a lot of experience in top 8s specifically of various sizes. So while he is one of the big underdogs, and I know that for a fact, this is going to be a
dark horse.
This is a very dark horse. He's either gonna. I don't think there's a middle ground for BBD. I don't foresee an 8-8 finish for BBD. He's either going to just bite it or he's going to go miles. And so with my last 4th pick, I'm taking BBD.
All right, so let's go over the choices again here. We have Ruben. You chose Owen Turtenwald, Lucas Blohan, Paulo Vitor, and BBD.
Correct.
The fine squad. Erin, you chose Reed Duke, hashtag Baywatch. Shota Yasuka, who I clearly forgot after.
Also wanted, yeah.
Andreas Mengucci.
No S, just Andrea.
Just one of them.
Andrea Mengucci, my apologies. And Martin Muller.
Yep.
Danish Beaver.
Nice. Danish Beaver. So, and my 4, Mr. Seth Manfield, LSV, Yuya Watanabe, and Brad Nelson. And I'm feeling pretty good about that squad. So those are our fantasy picks for the World Championship that is happening this weekend. So that'll be sweet. Pretty excited about that. But that also means that we turn the corner to the finisher. And you know what? We had a lot to go over this week, and I like the fact that we kind of kept it. We kept it, within our time slot here. We're 1 minute out from the end.
I mean, we did have all the things.
We had everything. We had so many things. Now, during this past week, hundreds of YouTube channels and their monetization options were revoked thanks to not having advertiser-friendly content. Now, among those channels is this one, is mine, is my own sort of Mr. Orange Guy channel on YouTube, the one that has the Magic Show, the one that has Forgotten Lore, the one that has Magic Mics, even the non-Patreon one, the one that has just the hour of us, sort of doing the live show, not the 2-hour not safe for work one. We're just talking about the 1 hour. Anyway, something we said last week got flagged. So as a result, Magic Mics is going to stop getting money from the world's largest video media site. Basically, if it doesn't happen, that's right. We're losing those $0. So
we already get no dollars.
Even though they say it's to keep things rated G, there are many saying that it's more about the offending videos' opinions of specific people or products. At that point, it becomes political. It becomes sort of at people's whim or whatever. So
can I just add that my Twitter feed in the last hour has been people retweeting popular YouTubers talking about what videos, like a depression video, an acne video. It's just ludicrous.
It's
blown up while we've been on the air. Actually.
Yeah,
that's a little sad and frightening, honestly. But let's keep going here. So since we're definitely getting this video flagged for this finisher,
of course.
Sup YouTube, and there's lots of Magic YouTube content creators out there these days. What would you suggest that some of those folks do to avoid our fate, Ruben?
Well, I would suggest to our good friend Wedge at the Manosaurus, who, by the way, tweeted during our show that one of his videos got flagged. So this is a little bit late, but
wow.
If he could go back in time and watch this, Wedge at the Manosaurus, that he can keep all of his videos on the advertiser-friendly side by getting his slightly less irritable doppelganger, Lewis Black, to do his videos instead.
Slightly less irritable. Just a little. So, Erin, what do you think?
Well, I think that the professor at Solarian Community College should make sure that he wears less revealing tweed jackets. Just button it up, Professor.
Stop flashing that vest, man.
Yeah.
Too much vest. TMV. You know what I'm saying? It's like TMZ, but not.
Chestices and his vestices.
I think that Wizards MTG, the official Magic the Gathering YouTube channel, can make the greatest strides towards staying open and free and not getting flagged by making absolutely sure they keep out of their most offensive content, clearly the deck text from the limited portion of the Pro Tour.
Yeah.
God, have you seen those things?
Those are pretty offensive.
Those are
not safe for work.
Nope.
Children should not watch.
Those are
deck text
crazy.
from the limited portion.
So before we wrap up here, just a quick reminder, September 4th, 10 o'clock Eastern, Google Hangout. We're going to get our tokens done. It's going to be totally sweet. But that also means
preview next week also.
We have a brand new preview, and I don't even know how much I can say about it, so I'm not going to say anything about it. But let me tell you, you're going to like it. You're going to enjoy it. And I know the people from Mythic Spoiler are going to be watching.
Yeah. Hashtag boy howdy. Let me tell you, this card is great.
This card is good, clean living, ladies and gentlemen. So, Erin, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Ruben, thanks for hanging out, buddy.
Thank you.
All right, and that's going to bring us to our final slide here. And with that, we end another episode of Magic Mics. Thank you guys for joining us here live to discuss all things Magic. I want to thank my co-host, you guys, for watching, and hope you support us at patreon.com/magicmics. Visit our website at magicmicspodcast.com. That exists thanks to our Patreon supporters. Or follow, like, tweet, favorite, share, subscribe, do everything social that tells people that we exist. Catch us online at twitch.tv/magicmics, on Twitter at magicmicscast, on Reddit at reddit.com/r/magicmics, and on Facebook at facebook.com/magicmics. Talk to us privately at magicmicspodcast@gmail.com. Follow the audio-only podcast at Magic Mics Podcast podcast.libsyn.com, or find us on iTunes, or join us here next week, same time, same place, for another episode of Magic Mics. Good night, everybody.